Space Marine 2 is shaping up to be one of the biggest Warhammer games ever, and I bet you right now that the people over in James' workshop are rubbing those hands together and practicing their money counting skills. I think it's fair to say that Warhammer fans, along with the wider gaming community, are looking to follow Space Marine 2 with great interest. Why is this so important, though? Well, because it will be a big mark on if Warhammer Games can be so much more than what we currently have. It is widely accepted by the Warhammer community that Warhammer games are generally pretty terrible, except for a couple of them. This is mostly because James Workshop is happy to give the license to developers that are smaller and have less risk. If the game does well and becomes popular, then that's awesome, great success, yay! But if not, and it fails, then it doesn't affect a lot of people. For all the crap that we give them, Games Workshop are doing very well. They are basically printing money, and the obvious next market to try and dominate is the gaming industry, and they've tried this for years with varying levels of success. Space Marine 1 was an average game at a time when other third-person shooters were making better games, like Gears of War or Uncharted. Then, issues with the developers and nobody wanting to pick up the title left it in the dark for a long time. But hope did arrive with other Warhammer games doing well in recent years, like Mechanicus, the Total War franchise, and Rogue Trader, which have started to break the mold. And what they really want is a game that smashes expectations and makes not just Warhammer fans happy, but reaches a much larger audience. And we're starting to see Games Workshop's thinking behind that with this game and also the talks of the Amazon TV show, and I think that they're really trying to expand into a much larger market. The initial gameplay and feedback from players about Space Marine 2 seems pretty good. A lot of content creators had access to play earlier builds of the game. I was unfortunately left out in the rain because I am a small channel, but one day, guys, I swear, one day. And look, aside from a few limitations that those content creators mentioned in their videos, a lot of them were boasting, 40, 60, 25 plus hours spent on the game with no significant mention of crashes or stability or performance issues in general, which is massive, because having stability these days, it feels like a luxury, but it is so nice and refreshing to see that for a game that did get a delay, but actually is meeting the expectations of that delay. They wanted to delay it for stability, according to the developers, and to make sure it came out as a proper final product. We saw delays in Cyberpunk, Battlefield 2042, Halo Infinite. All of those games still came out not ready. And from the looks of it, I think that they've actually managed to pull it off for Space Marine 2, which is really nice, because you can have a good game, but if the stability is not there, it's not going to be as memorable, or it's not going to stick around for the long-term success you want. Remember Jedi Survivor? Great game, awesome game, but it could have been so much more if it didn't have those performance issues when it released. From all of the different videos that I've seen of other content creators, the game appears to run pretty nicely even on higher graphics levels and maintains a good FPS. People are playing it on 4K monitors, recording, and with, ultra graphics and everything, and still hitting above 60 FPS. However, please keep in mind that a lot of content creators have good PCs, so we don't know how good it's going to run on an average PC. Most people who are playing this had 30 or 40 series graphics cards, so do take that with a grain of salt. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention is to give a little bit of credit to Saber Interactive here, because they have thought about Space Marine 2 in a really good way. They've thought about it as a wider conflict, and something that I really appreciate from the feedback is that the operations link into the existing campaign, and that is really awesome to see. It's all part of one cohesive story. So by the looks of it, we're going to be getting something where you're actually going to get a proper story. Darktide. So that's always really good to see something that's going to be a much larger scale picture of a big Tyranid invasion of a system, and then also complicated by chaos. So really nice. Now, I am a big fan of this story-wise, and I can't wait to see it in action, but I have been mostly talking about the good stuff. So what makes me worried about Space Marine 2? Where could it fail? Honestly, the biggest mistake the developers have made is not doing the beta that they had promised. And I don't think that the servers that they have are going to be ready for this game, because I think they've underestimated just how many people are probably going to pick this thing up. The developers initially planned to do a beta, but they scrapped it last minute, wanting to prioritize stability. But I don't really understand this, because the whole purpose of a beta is to stress test, to figure out where the cracks are, where things are going to fall apart, and where your limitations are, and correct them before launch, usually as a day one patch. Now, closed testing with a select audience is fine, but it's never going to give you the same amount of information, which is so crucial to the final launch. And at the end of the day, I think that's going to hurt the game, because you also won't know any balancing issues for things like the PvP mode. And that's another thing. We haven't seen any proper exposure to the PvP mode. I say this because a campaign is an experience, and operations are good, but unless you have continuous updates with new content at a very fast pace, they get forgotten easily. You know, if we're only getting 6 on release, 2 months into this game, I don't see as many people still sticking around if the PvP isn't good, you know? So there would be a lot more replayability if there's a good PvP mode, and it could be a really nice way for long-term success. There has been talks of DLC roadmaps and additional content, but we haven't seen that whole aspect of the game, so it's a big mystery. Who knows, maybe the PvP mode is gonna be a secret golden egg, and it makes the game even more popular than, you know, anything else out there right now. And I'd love to see this, because it's about time that we had a proper AAA Warhammer game that is a mainline success to bring in a lot more people to the franchise. It's a great hobby, it's a great community, and I would love to see this hobby become so much more than what it is, but only time will tell. And I really want to know what you guys think about all of this. What do you think about Space Marine 2? What are you excited about? How do you think the game's looking? Let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. But that is pretty much it for today. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. I have taken some time off for when the game comes out, so I'll definitely be making lots of content for that game, and I cannot wait to sink my teeth into it. But that is just about it from me. I've been Kiv, and I will see you all on the next one.